Hey everyone, George here and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about an opportunity that I have later in the summer, and that would be the last couple of weeks of August, to go down to Brazil and to some of these areas where many of the tropical fish that you and I keep are caught and exported into the United States, Europe, and all over the world, basically. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this because there's a little bit of controversy about going down and being involved in something like this. Now, the part of the world that we're talking about is Brazil and the Rio Negro area of Brazil, which encompasses places like Manaus, Santarém, Belém, those areas and the principal waterways that basically feed into the Amazon River, all these tributaries and waterways that feed into the Amazon. And many of the fish that you and I might have in our aquariums literally are brought out of that region for export to the United States and, as I said, Europe and other places in the world. And I have an opportunity to go down there and see how this is done, number one, to visit some of the facilities that do the exporting, to visit with some of the local people in the area who make a living off catching these fish, and see a way in which it is done, and really have an opportunity to have a conversation about how we can continue to do this in a way that does not destroy the land, the waterways, the tributaries, or any of that stuff, and keeps this a thriving way of life for the people down there who are trying to make a living off collecting fish for the export business without destroying the land. Now, conservationism is very important to me, and conservation means a lot of different things to a lot of people, and it often gets misrepresented because people don't understand that when we are conservationists, that sometimes it means that we cull or we remove certain aspects of populations of animals or fish or whatever to sustain a healthier and more vibrant group of these animals, so that future generations have an opportunity to make a living like their ancestors did by bringing these kinds of fish to our homes, such as, like I said, the cardinal tetra, the neon tetra, the rummy nose tetra, so many of the plecos that we have in our homes or in our fish tanks or galleries around the world. And the king of all fish, the discus, all come from these areas. And I want to make sure that people understand that these fish are brought to us in a way that has conservationism in mind. Now, there is an alternative to this. People in that area have an opportunity to make a living in two ways, and they understand this clearly, better than any of us could possibly. And that is, they can either work in this fish trade business where they have a small impact on the environment and they're conservationist with the intention in mind of keeping these waterways beautiful, clean, and free of pollution and so forth. Or they can work for companies that deforest the area, which a lot of these companies are funded by people not only in the United States but all around the world for the different kinds of precious woods that come out of there to be used in homes and structures all around the world, to make furniture, to make countertops, to make all these different things that we use in our homes, but the way in which it is done is absolutely devastating to the lands down there. If you've ever seen the way it's done, it would be absolutely shocking to you. The way the slash and burn is done, the way they just cut these trees down. You can literally look at a Google map, and I've done this, friends have shown me this, in just a year or two, and see the kind of devastation that you just wouldn't believe is happening from the burning and the taking down of trees in these areas that absolutely leave these lands barren. And what happens next is something that we don't think about. We think about, or many people think about, how many fish are being removed from these rivers, but they don't understand how many hundreds of thousands or millions of these fish that are going to die because of deforestation in this area. And that is when you do this slash and burn and you take all of these trees down, the runoff of the poisons that come out of the burning of these areas flow right into these rivers, and they're toxic to the point where they kill off fish, where literally thousands of them are laying on the surface of the water and dying off. And for what? For what? Now, the way that I want to see this conservation manner in which they collect fish is to see how they do it in a way that makes it sustainable for future generations, in a way that is low impact on the environment, and a way in which these people can make a living without having to work for these large forestry companies that basically don't care about how much of the forest is being destroyed, how much of the waterways are being poisoned, and so forth. So it's important for me to see firsthand how this is done and to get some idea as to, which is the worst of the two evils. These people need to make a living, and they're going to do it one way or the other, whether we like it or not. They're either going to collect fish for exporters to distribute all around the world, and those exporters in turn can breed these fish and not have to take as many fish in the future out of these waterways, and keep these natural habitats and areas free from deforestation, because the people that are vested in keeping these lands beautiful and clean and without poisons being actually pushed into these rivers by first the deforestation and then the rains that come, and they wash these toxins that are left behind from these burnings and things that go on. And God knows what else is in this water that pours into the Amazon or to these tributaries and rivers that feed the Amazon. God knows what goes into those. And I just know that I've seen pictures of discus and cardinal tetras and neon tetras and so many other kinds of fish just laying on top, dead from these poisons that are being poured into the Amazon from this deforestation. So the alternative couldn't be more clear to me. Do you allow these people to collect fish in a way that has a conservation sort of feeling to it and give them ability to make a living that way, or do we push them towards making a living with the forestry people who go in and just destroy these lands and have no regard for future generations whatsoever? I want to thank you for joining me today, and I also want you to leave some comments down below about what I'm talking about here. And I want you to tell me what you think about this, what you think is the best way to do this, because regardless of whether we like it or not, these lands are going to, and waterways are going to be used for the exotic fish trade. They're going to be whether we like it or not, because these people have no alternative but to feed their families and to collect these fish in a humane way. I don't know if you've ever seen the way they do this, but many of these people love these lands so much that when they collect these fish and they trim the brush along the river's edge, they carefully put these branches back in such a way that the discus fish and other large fish that live in these little grove areas here can have future generations of spawning that go on there. And then they move on to a different area and they leave that area alone to rejuvenate itself and so forth. So it's really important that we understand this. It's really important that we know that the way in which these fish are being caught and are being distributed around the world is a way that is not only humane, but also takes into consideration the environment around these areas so they remain beautiful for generations to come and sustainable for generations to come, for them to continue to make a living without destroying the forest around them and poisoning the waters. And I think that is just so important, and I think you would too if you saw some of the videos that I've seen. If you see this on a Google map from one year to another, it is unbelievable how much change takes place in such a short period of time. Again, please leave your messages down below and I will get back to you. Give me some information on how you feel about this and let me know what you're thinking, because it's really important to me. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I truly appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about this. And please hit that like, subscribe, and comment area. Use those and also share with your friends. And if anything else, hit that bell up at the top there so that that gives me an opportunity to let you know when I have a new video that is out, and you can see that in the future. Again, thank you, and we will see you on the next one.